Hi, Virtue here. Just want to do a quick intro into this short clip to explain first of all what you're looking at. This is a painting of mine. For those of you who don't know me, I'm both a painter and I practice spirituality or magic if you like. I paint spirits, I paint spells, the dead, and stuff that really annoys me, hence my painting of the psychic twins. But I'll go on to explain that later. Just briefly, my own spirituality, I'm what I call a left-hand path practitioner. Now, I just want to explain this because a lot of people, if they know what it is, they think, oh, she's a Satanist. No, I'm not evil, although I do know a lot of good Satanists. I have nothing against Satanism. What it means in my definition is that I don't do dogma. I'm not affiliated with any religions or traditions. Occasionally I'll sort of lean on a tradition, but most of the time I've been basically taught by spirit. I reckon 80% of the time, even more. I've always had spirit in my life, as far as I can remember, even being a kid. I guess that's probably about it about that. Anyway, there's more about my spirituality on my website. If you go to the description, you will see a link and look up the Me section. These girls are annoying me. This is why I painted it. I've had a lot of experience. I've been practicing actively for probably 25, 30 years, which is doing magic, doing spells. You know, I don't do it all the time, but I do it quite a bit, especially at the moment. I've got so much out there because I've needed it. It's been a really rough year, and sometimes you just need extra help, and it's been so helpful. But anyway, the reason they annoy me is because I can read cards. I'm an expert in a Ouija board. I've got a lot of practice with a lot of tools. I do a lot of work with, like, I write my own spells, I write my own curses, I write all these things myself. And I have a lot of spiritual help. And I know what I'm doing. I know what it's like to talk to the dead. I know what it's like to do readings for people. I don't do stage mediumship. I don't do sort of psychic readings, anything like that. But these girls, I can just see straight through them. They don't have the skill level, they don't have the knowledge to be claiming what they're claiming. And a lot of this stuff is very, very basic. And a lot of this stuff is basically wrong as well. But anyway, I'll go on and explain that at a later date in this clip. The other reason I wanted to do it is because there's a lot of skeptical stuff out there about the psychic twins, and most of it I'm pretty much in agreement with. But what really upsets me is when you get to the end of these clips, they've made a great case. I agree with most of what they're saying. They then say, oh yes, but that means that all psychics and all mediums and all people that do magic are fakes. A hell of a lot of them are. I'm not going to disagree with them. But there are a lot of us out there that are really, really good. And we know what we're doing, and we know this is real because we've practiced it for years. I mean, you can't just wipe us all out with one brush. And I know they're probably not trying to. People have practiced spirituality for thousands of years, and they wouldn't have been doing it for thousands of years if it wasn't real, basically. Anyway, with that said, this is why I did this clip, is because I want to approach my skeptical view of the psychic twins from a magical point of view. And I just thought it might be interesting to take it from that different approach. So what we're going to do in this clip, I'm going to run a few clips of the psychic twins, which I think are highly amusing. And then I'm going to do a bit of a screencast on their website. And I want to just show a few points and just have a little bit of a chat about a few things. And especially from a magical point of view. Some of it will still be from a common sense point of view.
And today we're going to talk about how to spot a fake psychic. There are, shysters, and there are imposters, and there are unscrupulous people. But in the psychic medium field, there are probably more cons than pros, wouldn't you say?
I would say. Or is it just a constant flow of information?
Well, for the average psychic, it has to hit you like a bolt from the blue. With us, we're like a radio. We turn it on, turn it off whenever we want. But we're hyper-vigilant. We're always vulnerable to impressions. And so it's very hard to sleep. We have psychic dreams. It's almost as if we can't turn it off sometimes.
Quit tomorrow.
But we don't say it's written in stone ever. We teach you how to change your destiny and psychic intelligence.
Yeah, the future is fluid. It's never written in stone. We say it's written in pencil.
So I can do a little erasing.
There you can.
Yeah.
You're much more powerful than you think you are.
Okay.
And you can change your destiny.
I like.
Oh, I've just been having such computer hell today. Oh, what's going on? Why won't this link work? Here we go. Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because anyone with half a brain can see that these are not predictions. But I just wanted to go through them just quickly, just touch on a couple of them in case people watching this have never seen what they call a prediction. You know what? These are expectations, they're not predictions. If they were going to be predictions, they would have a lot more detail in them. You can jump on yourself and have a look at them. They're quite funny. They seem to have every single thing covered they possibly can. There's lists and lists of countries where, terrorist attacks are going to happen. All of these countries know that we're all in danger. I mean, when you go down to some of their predictions about, I think it's around here, they have a prediction where they say there's going to be a lot more, vehicles as weaponed attacks around the world. Now, in London, where I am, we've had 3 recent attacks, and I bet you they're claiming that they predicted them. And yet, none of these predictions, it's only a vague prediction. There's no cities, there's no countries, there's no dates, there's nothing. I still can't see if they're so good at what they're doing, why they couldn't figure out something like the attack that we had on Westminster Bridge. I mean, it's right near Big Ben. Big Ben is one of the most iconic buildings in the world. They still couldn't get that, and then we had London Bridge, another iconic bridge in London. And, Finsbury Park, which is out my way where I live, but, that you can be excused. Finsbury Park is a bit vague for most people to be doing this stuff. Transport, things like this is what they call a prediction. Transport systems will be targeted. Where? When? What countries? What mode of transport, girls? What are we doing? Trains, buses, planes, what? It's just absolutely nothing there. Everybody knows these. There's no prediction in this. These are guesses or at best expectations. Cyber attacks, no use there. No news in these. I'm a bit pissed about this one. Look at some of these. I mean, I think what these girls have got to understand is there's a lot of people that do still read these things and they believe them. And, I mean, I don't. I look at this and think this is just crapola. And if any of these are they've got such a list there, it's ridiculous. But like I had a look at a few of these. One of my ones down the bottom, the PTSD. I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I got it from all my childhood abuse, and I still have it. That's what I've had a really rough year about. I've had a year full of flashbacks. I know from having this all my life there is no cure for it. You can't really even do anything about it. The only thing you can do is either choose to medicate or to go ahead and continue with therapy. I mean, I'm just about to enter my 6th run of therapy. I'll probably start teaching the therapists. This is nothing new. This is all just rubbish. It's we all know this. I mean, I laugh at this one. There's going to be more tornadoes. I mean, I know they've given, but these are the tornadoes areas I'm led to believe. And there's going to be more tornadoes coming into Tornado Alley. Jeez, what a prediction that is. Anyway, I just wanted to run through that for for those of you that haven't seen it, but it's pretty obvious, and none of it is about specifics. It's also vague. I mean, there was another vehicle as a weapon recently in Melbourne, which is the original city that I come from in Australia. Now, they're claiming that they predicted that, and yet they never, ever said it was Melbourne. I mean, there's only 7 states in Australia. There are only, because we've got 2 in the, oh no, we haven't. There's only 7 capital cities. It's not that hard. And really, only 2 of them are major, and they still couldn't get it right. Really, it's probably a choice between Melbourne and Sydney. Anyway, they're claiming that that was their prediction, and it's been documented. Sorry, girls, you're full of shit. Anyway, I want to talk about this one. I'm not going to go through all of them. I want to have a chat about the 9/11 World Trade Center attacks because I'm a bit peeved about this. Now, I did a bit of research on this because when I do these clips, I actually do research them. I just don't talk out my arse. This is what they call documented. Now, what they're saying about this World Trade Center event was that there was an Artbell radio show. Link is in the description box if you want to listen to it yourself. They said on that radio show, because I went back and listened to it, and I listened to the whole thing in case there was something else they said that, was at another time. They never said anything but there was going to be a World Trade Center attack, terrorist attack in 2002. That was it. In fact, one of them, I don't know which one said it, said that it was, after she said that statement, she said, yeah, that's about all. So, that's all they said. They claim, and they say that's their most famous claim, is that they were, that was the most famous claim, is that they were so accurate with it. They weren't. That's all they said. Now, what has happened now is they've now added to that claim that they said Bin Laden was involved, that they said, I've forgotten more. Why do I forget when I need them? Thousands were going to be killed. It had something to do with a hijacking, and I can't remember the other one. There was another one that they claimed. Sorry, yeah. These are things they've added to it, and this is what everyone's amazed because they think, oh, they're so accurate. But I think a lot of people still don't realise that this is not what they said on Artbell. Now, I looked for when those other 4 predictions they said they made came up. These apparently were written on a handwritten piece of paper. And the only time I could actually find something was in 2006, which is 5 years after the World Trade Center. Now, these girls are lying. To the best of my ability and to the best of my research, these girls are lying. Now, what I want to talk about here as well is an actual premonition. I'm going to talk about the one I had because I actually really did have a premonition. It was a week before 9/11 happened that I had it. And this is what I find typical of real premonitions, is they usually happen very close to the event. I'll give you the theory after I tell you what happened. This is when I was in Australia. Now, bear with me because I have to just pad this out a little bit. In Australia, there was an Australian celebrity who had a hobby of flying Cessna planes. Unfortunately, I think it was on the 26th of April in 1999, he unfortunately crashed his plane into the side of a mountain and unfortunately died, which was all very sad. But a few nights later, I had this really powerful dream where he was, this actual celebrity that had died was standing on top of this large, shiny, very tall skyscraper. And he said to me, I used to be a tall building, but now I'm not. And I woke up, and the dream was quite powerful, but I had no idea what it meant. I knew it was significant, but I didn't know what it meant. Anyway, fast forward to a few nights later, and I had another dream. Now, I made the assumption that this building, which was the same building, because I just wasn't getting it yet. What happened in this dream is the facade of the building had been sheared off, and I stood at the bottom, and I could see all the workers and all the office people and everyone moving around in the building. And then, much to my horror, I started to watch the building as each floor collapsed, and it collapsed down to the ground And I woke up and I was quite horrified. Again, it felt like a really powerful dream, but I really didn't understand any of it. Anyway, fast forward, 9/11 happened. And like most people, I didn't even think of the dream because I was just horrified and upset and, all of the sort of shock that we all went through because of something like that. I didn't really think much of it. And it was, I think it was a few days after 9/11, I remembered the dream. And I was quite shocked because I couldn't believe that was, that I'd actually had that premonition. Because as soon as I realised what the dream was, I put it together. And I went, oh, there were 2 buildings. Oh, there was a plane slamming into something. Now it all makes sense. But, at the time, I really couldn't make heads nor tails of it. Perhaps if I was about to walk into the World Trade Center, I would have looked up and gone, oh, these are the buildings. Oh, I've had a warning about these. I best not go in there. But I wasn't anywhere near it. So I often think, what was the point? I even went through a bit of guilt because I thought, could I have done something? But I couldn't. I couldn't even understand the dream, let alone do anything. If I could, I would. The point that I'm going to make with a lot of premonitions, the way I've had them, because I have had the odd one that's predicted something. Number one, they're incredibly unreliable. Number two, what I think they are is I think when there's a world event like that and where there's so much grief, so much pain, so much horror, so much shock, I think what happens is often all of those feelings sort of leak beforehand, they leak in, or it may even be the dead sort of saying things, trying to get it across to people because they can usually tell if these things are happening. But it's like it's a leakage before it happens. And if you look at a lot of premonitions, like I often think about the Titanic ones where there were quite a few people that said that they had dreams a few nights beforehand. I find that premonitions like that are usually fairly close to the event. And I think it's because of this energy leaking, before the actual event happens. Anyway, that's what I figure. But I want to go on to something of why I've never spoken about it before. Because when I realised that I had had a premonition, I decided I wouldn't speak about it because I thought it was disrespectful for the people who died and for the people that had such horror and pain to draw attention to myself at all. And I would rather pay my respects than do something like that. So I just shut up about it. And that's the first time I've ever told anyone. But this is another point that I'd like to make to these 2 girls. They're using 9/11 to make themselves famous. And for all I can tell, they're lying about it. And I think they should sit down and have a little bit of a think about what they're doing. Because it isn't showing any respect for the people that died, for the people that are still in pain and the people that are still missing their loved ones. And I think they should apologise. Because I think what they're doing is disgraceful and I'm going to say it. Anyway, that's all I want to say. So, while we're sitting here talking about this, I guess there's only a couple of other things that I want to mention. If you're looking for someone to do a reading or you're looking for someone to do a psychic reading, there are plenty of good readers around. But what you're going to need to do is research. Because even I, with the abilities I've got, if I went to get a reading from someone, I'd be researching. Run their name through Google, have a look on YouTube, see if they've got any YouTube clips, see if you can get reviews, see if you can find out other people that have been to them. Do your research. Find out whatever you can. Also, when you go in to a psychic reader, because I see a lot of people, particularly, online, who say, I went to a reader and it was dreadful. Make sure you get a receipt. I know it sounds ridiculous, but get a receipt because these people are selling you a service, and if their service doesn't measure up, you've got a right to ask for a refund. If you can give good reason why it was no good or you were unhappy with it, you've got a right to ask for a refund. A good reader doesn't want an unhappy customer telling everyone that, it's horrible and she was no good or he was no good. So just make sure you've got a receipt. And if you're not happy, complain to them. But I'd also ask them, give them your expectations and ask them, can you meet those expectations? Say, I want something specific. I want something that nobody else knows but me. I want you to prove that you're actually doing this. Because you get a lot of readers online, particularly, and in person, that will just serve you. I call them fluff. I think skeptics call them cold reading, but they're just fluff. Also, if you're going for readings online, if they ask for your name, your address, a photo, and where you live, don't do it because they're looking you up online. Because they don't need that information. If you're a good reader, you need no information. You don't even need the person's name because it's not about that. So remember that. But there's one more thing I want to say about this. I want to challenge people here. If you're really interested in psychic, because I know there's probably psychic twin fans that are going, oh, you're a bloody, what is it? Psychic terrorist. No, I'm not actually. I'm just having an opinion, okay? Everyone's entitled to an opinion. You're entitled to yours. But instead of relying on these two twins, why don't you get yourself a deck of tarot? Get a Rider Waite deck. They're probably worth, well, I know I'm coming from London, they're worth 10 to 15 quid. Get yourself a book or an app or just do it online. You can sit there with your computer going in the background. There is plenty of free good information. You don't need to go to any of these schools to learn. The Rider Waite system is a really good system to start off with because it's well, I have to admit, it's well written. The instructional things with Rider Waite are well written. But start reading them for yourself. And what you'll find is that you'll start learning a lot about yourself to start with. As you read your own cards, it starts developing you. And then you'll start getting it. So you go with the meanings first. You learn all the meanings. You learn what the meanings of the cards are and the different sort of the arcanas and the pips, or the majors and the pips. And, you know, you learn that there's different meanings upside down and different meanings if they're upright, and you learn the different spreads. Just go with it and learn it, and you'll find that you develop fairly quickly, particularly if you're dedicated. But that's what I want to challenge people here. Instead of running after these twins, who are obviously after the fame, because I can't see it any other way, do it yourself. Anyway, I guess that's probably all I want to say. Thank you so much for listening to me rant on, and I hope you enjoyed the clip. I have another one coming up on Tyler Henry, and I've probably got another one up on my experience with psych vamping, or being psych vamped, I should say. So wait for those. I hopefully will get the Tyler Henry one up fairly quickly. And I really hope you enjoyed this. Lots of comments if you were. And please, Psychic Twin fans, no hate. All right? No hate. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Bye now from Virtue.